found tying Davis to the murder, and 7 of the 9 eyewitnesses recanted their statements. Like she said, like they're like, "Oh, the police forced me to do it," or this and that happened. Where they took their statement back. 7 of the 9. He was not granted a new trial. Only a, I always mess up on this word, evidentiary hearing. Basically where they try to look at the evidence, the new evidence that you're providing for why you're not guilty. And he had to prove his innocence beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning that there's no way, like whatever he presents, there's no way that any juror can find him guilty or whatever. So he lost because there were still some jurors that said, well, there's still some doubt here or whatever. Because usually the way reasonable doubt, it works the other way against you. You have to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But for that kind of hearing, it's like you have to show that this new evidence shows your innocence beyond a reasonable doubt. So he lost that trial. That's the only trial, kind of like retrial they gave him. Some of his supporters that like said like he was innocent or they shouldn't give the death penalty, give him a new trial with Jimmy Carter, former president of the United States, Pope Benedict, the NAACP, Europe, Amnesty International. Basically what Europe, Amnesty International is, it's basically like the NAACP, but it was founded in England, so they fight for people's rights and stuff like that in Europe, but they were even in support all the way over here in America for Troy Davis. Archbishop, even conservatives, including former Republican Bob Barr and former FBI Director William Sessions, like Shelley was talking about before. And right here, Lawrence found this video for us, so we can listen to it before we
I'd like to address the whole Nicki Minaj video and the actual one where she referred to nappy-headed hoes. And we gotta think about the corruption of our society now. When we're younger, the prettiest girls to us are, the Barbie doll. The blonde, long hair, the blue eyes. And that's what our standard of beauty has become. The blonde, white people. They're the angels of society. That's what we have been taught to believe. So we do whatever we can. Women do whatever they can to fit that standard, make their hair longer, try to make themselves that standard. And also with Nicki Minaj, how that whole song was talking about, kind of like she's better than all these other women. It's all become a competition. You see, you can be the best, you look the best, you can be the most beautiful in society. And that's always wrong because that puts us against ourselves in the black community. Skin tone, hair, features, that's what brings us, farther and farther apart. And also, in regarding YG, that's everywhere. A lot of people, YG went to my school. That we're close to people like that, and they become big, and that's what we look up to. Like me, myself, I hear those words, and I listen to that song, and I honestly, I'm like, hey, this is tight. Like, this is awesome. And it's bad, because I never refer to a girl as a bitch. I never call women bitches, like, to their face, or anything like that. I'm not directing it at anyone. Sure, I say the word, but I don't direct it to anyone specific. And I say nigga a lot too. And it's something that I've done. It's something I've grown up around, and it's never been a problem. And this is how it is in society because not a lot of people get educated. So, if we were all educated, we would.
One thing that I've heard just to say what's up with that, what it is that we're not saying like the beat is wrong. That's what usually catches people is the beat. You start grooving to it. It is a nice beat. I hear it and I'm like, it's like you get this trance and then your head starts to nod, toe starts to tap. So there's nothing wrong with the beat. It's just we just need to change the words. That we're using or whatever. And it's like Ricardo said, like you said, if the world was different, then she could rap positively. Like it can't just be different. We can't just wake up and this is the world we have, So we have to work with it and try and change it, So it can't just be different. We have to work with this one. But I'm gonna keep it going. All right. So moving on to the next section. This is system for me or against me. Martin Luther King said the presence of one of these factors is sufficient to make a law unjust. One, if it degrades the human personality. 2, if it binds one group and not another. 3, if it's enacted by authority, not truly representative. And 4, if, though just in itself, it is unjustly applied. So that's what makes the system unjust. So we're gonna find out if our system is just or unjust. So 5 grams of crack cocaine that's predominantly used by blacks gets you 5 years in prison, while 50 grams of powder cocaine used by predominantly whites gets you the same amount of time in jail. There's also a stat says young black men are 6 times more likely.
Okay, yes, the criminal justice system is unjust and it's socially constructed. It's a new system, it's the new Jim Crow, essentially. Michelle Alexander quotes the prison industrial complex as a new Jim Crow. And if you know, the Jim Crow was segregation to keep blacks on this side and whites on that side. And it's politically speaking, we're not a racist country anymore. Racism is politically incorrect, and you're not supposed to use it. So instead of saying I'm choosing to do this to your people because you're of that color is wrong. But then you find other ways to do that, and that is a prison industrial complex. That is a criminal justice system to keep us in this box. It's a way to keep us in this kind of caste system so that we do not progress. That's what it's for. It's another way, like throughout life, like if you read the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, essentially says the world, it doesn't really change. The technique, nothing changes. It's just a different tweak. And that's just how life is in general. So this criminal justice system isn't anything different from what they used to do back in the the 20th century with Jim Crow laws. So it won't change unless we demand it to change. And we need to get into these offices and make those changes. Because if we want someone to change it, that's not us, it won't be changed.
All right, so that's on the panel. Want to attack that? Somebody, just raise your hand. All right, Shelly.
Yeah, so this is the specific question I really want to discuss in this panel today is, there's 2 examples. You have Oscar Grant, shot in the back how many times? And the person who shot him was a police officer, white, and was suspended, did not serve time if I'm not mistaken. Just we know he did this. Then there's Troy Davis. Okay, there's a video, right? Then there's Troy Davis. Does everyone in here know who Troy Davis is? Please, if you don't, it's okay. Who knows who Troy Davis is? Please raise your hand. Okay, that's a problem, okay? Because Troy Davis was recently executed. There was a crime that he was alleged of doing, but there's certainly not sufficient evidence that he did this crime, and he served jail time for over 20 years. And millions of people said no. The Pope, the past president and FBI, head of the FBI said, do not execute this man. This man was on death row for over 20 years, and they still executed him. So you have a white police officer who does not get truly, held to the crime that he obviously committed on video. And there's an African-American man, just a man going about his daily job, Troy Davis, who was executed this past October for something we're not even sure that he did. And there's several witnesses who said, I was pressured by the police, I didn't do this. So, we have to look at those 2 examples and realize, yes, we are in America and freedom and justice, and we stand for those things, but hold America to that standard and educate yourself. And please, Troy Davis is on the flyer for this event. So if you want to look at that flyer again, that's his face. That's a perfect contemporary example of why this system is not just. And just educate yourself and what can you do every day to let somebody else know.
All right, open up to the audience real quick.
I just want to say, of course, we all know it's unjust, but the thing is, the way to change it, I think, is to just stop getting in trouble doing what you're not supposed to do. Because one thing is, I know sometimes most people are innocent, sometimes people are guilty, but one thing I know in high school, one of my friends was charged with murder. And he didn't do it, but they kept him in jail for 2 years. And the thing is, he was a gang member, and he had gang tattoos all over him, and everyone knew he was affiliated. So just by that, that's why they kept him, for 2 years without any evidence. And they had one witness, but the witness story changed so many times. But the thing is, we was all, why you have gang tattoos and you're a gangbanger and everyone knows, and now you're being charged with murder, and it looks bad all around because everyone knows, what gangbangers do and what gang you're from, and it's just look bad. So it's hard to fight your case when you put yourself in a bad situation.
That was really good, man, because that's on the next slide. But Ricardo?
I just want two things. I just want to answer, like, kind of just like, not a rebuttal, but just comment on it. I guess the gang life is a form of survival. I definitely have gang members that's in my family, and they're in gangs because there was nothing else. So, just to speak on that. But then also, the criminal justice system is unjust, but you really shouldn't be surprised because America as a whole is unjust. They were built off of slavery and conquest of Native Americans. So, as I said before, like, so much violence went into making us black, and so much violence is going into keeping us black. So you're gonna see a whole bunch of people being killed and shot in the head. There's a video for it, everybody sees it, and the person gets off. You're gonna see a whole bunch of more executions of black people. It's a question of, do we even need to have a prison system in the first place? Not about prison reform. What's the reason we have prisons for in the first place?
All right, some stats of the system. In 1980, there were 143,000 black men in prison and 463,700 enrolled in college. In 2000, there were 791,600 black men in prison and 632 enrolled in college. Black males continue to be incarcerated at an extraordinary rate. Black males make up 35.4% of the jail and prison population, even though they make up less than 10% of the overall U.S. population. Here's a quote from Dr. Reese's book. It says, the criminal justice system is America's big trap for young black men. Instead of devising ways to avoid this trap, young black men have been complicit. Their embrace of the rugged, thuggish model of black masculinity makes it easy for the criminal justice system to justify its discriminatory behaviors towards them. So this kind of like what my man was saying back there. So the question is, if our youths are embracing a thug image, how can we blame the system for treating them in the same manner that they portray themselves? Panel. Can I get Tarek to address that one?
In a sense, I believe at the end of the day, it really begins at home. Even understood that there are situations by which black young men cannot come out of any other alternative to the gang life. And I feel like at that point, it is a trap. The criminal justice system is a trap because even let's say they go to jail and they come out of jail, there's no way, there are no alternatives for them. So they end up going back to the same thing that they've been doing. The opportunity isn't there, then they're going to get put right back in jail, and then they're going to eventually die or, remain in a life of crime. So there is no real, escape route from their life once you've been caught up in it. And it's really important for, I feel, at least maybe those who are in jail or have experience in that area to really teach the community, but not just going to college students, but going back to high school students, middle school students, where we first adapt these ways, because it's like, you're growing up, for the most part, your parents are dressing you. It's not until you start to develop your own identity that you begin to change that way, and you become more of an individual, and you start taking on to the ways that you see other people around you, and the people that you look up to, and the people you listen to in the music, see on TV and the media, and those are all, in a sense, it's all corrupted because they're not going to put out anything that's positive, as Ricardo said. They're going to keep the negative image because that's what's essentially holding us all down.
All right.
First, I just want to start off by saying I love all these questions. I'm going to get all you guys chatting and picking on this because it's great. But I was just looking towards the quote that's right under the question. It says the law is not designed. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So back to the question. Okay. So the question though, basically like you just said right now, it's like with that. I don't want to talk the other thing. Oh wait.
Trying to get some new people to speak. Please don't read ahead, guys.
I think the key phrase in the question is, if our youths embrace the thug image. That word is if, that means it's a choice. Like you said earlier, sometimes they do a survival of the fittest. That is what happens, but at the end of the day, like I grew up around gang members. I didn't bang. Like I could have, but I didn't. And so it's that choice. It starts with that choice. Now, if you already know, if you make that decision, you can't blame them for doing it. They're going to pinpoint you. You just become an easy target for an unjust decision. Point right here.
Daryl, you wanted to say something? All right, moving on. Another quote from the book says, "The law is not designed to construct justice, but instead is designed to protect those who already hold power. Those without power have come to see the police as the enemy." So the question is, what are those without power to do if the system is already set up for them to fail? Ricardo?
And this is personal, I believe, but I believe as long as we can be still considered as black, there will always be black problems. And if you look back, we as black people have been trying so hard to fight against the system, like since slavery movements. You know, if we look back at our past movements from W.E. Du Bois and like seeing how smart he was, you know, like proving to white people that we can do as more than what y'all can do. We published so many books and everything, that didn't work. Then we see the civil rights movement. They killed Martin Luther King, they killed Malcolm X. And then they passed these laws that's in the law books, but still was being practiced is still segregation. That didn't work. You see the Black Panther movement, they had guns. They was willing to go right on people. They had the Black Liberation Army killing police. There's black people who went to war with the police, if y'all know that. They were out there killing police because they were killing the people in their community, and that didn't work. So, as you can see, like, there's a tradition of black people trying their hardest to try to get out of this situation, but nothing besides basically like the end of the world, like I'm saying, is going to stop black people from having these problems. So without power, the system set up for them to fail. Like it's set up for us to fail automatically. It's predicated on our anti-blackness.
I'm Maritza. I'm a freshman here. I'm a chemical engineering major, and I've been listening to you guys. You guys all have like very good input, but I have to disagree with what Carlos said by saying that the system isn't set up for us to fail per se. It's set up to make it harder for us to succeed. But our failure is really on our shoulders. We can't really blame that on the system that we live within, and the fact that the thing is, we have to get out of the shackles that the power has put on us. We just have to come up.
Stereotypes, all the preconceived notions about what we're capable of. We need to get into those positions of power. And yet it may not take 10 years, it may not be 20 years, it may not be 40 years. It may be a century, but Obama did it, so we need to that's the burden I think that we bear on our shoulders. Because we know that change may not come overnight, but me being a black person, me showing that I can do it, is going to inspire the next person. It's going to provide the domino effect for black people in future generations.
Dr. Page.
Can I add one thing, just with a few more years of experience? And I have a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I've made personal decisions in my life to pick, like Kenny said, the neighborhood we live in, the school they go to, the experiences that they've had, and that in the situation you may be in right now, and that your bank account may be a little bit low right now, and you're struggling to graduate, but those times are going to change soon. And when they do, make sure you keep this same mentality, so when you're dealing with your children, and I'm done with them, and I say, Daddy's doing this because of X, Y, and Z, so you have no excuse that you can't make it. And that I've been able to navigate, saying, let me put you in a situation where you have no excuse but to be successful. Make sure you keep these same thoughts. When you have little ones who are under you, looking up to you, make sure you control their environment so that they have, just as your parents have done for some of you already.
Like I said before, we have to keep it to like 3 to 4 people per question. If you're really passionate, I love it. But can you write it down on here? We get back to it later because we have a lot to do. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great questions, y'all. Just take it easy. All right. Moving on to our next topic, chicken or the egg. Do you know the answer? So I'm going to get a couple volunteers. This for the audience only or whatever. You guys know, you raise your hand. If you can tell me which one came first, chicken or the egg, and why. Can I get some different audience members to participate? Anybody out there that knows the answer? Okay, there we go. There we go.
Hi, I'm Rianne. I'm a third year FM major at UCI, and I say it's the chicken, like maybe it was some other bird and then it mutated. No, I'm sorry. I meant it was an egg. It mutated and then wait down. Now I'm not sure.
That works. That works.
Hi, my name is Devon Graves. I'm a first year and I'm a poli-sci major. I believe the chicken was first because I believe God created the animals and all that, so he threw a chicken on the planet for us.
Anybody? Dr. Page?
A protein was found in the egg. Sorry, I gotta go here. Protein was found in the shell of the egg that is only produced within the liver of the living chicken. And so the only way for that protein to be passed into the egg is that it had to first be produced from a living organism.
Hey, he has a doctor in front of his name. Accept his answer. Alright, so moving on. That was just a little icebreaker. This is the chicken or the egg section of our presentation. So the question is, do the record companies force ignorant, violent, and or degrading lyrics upon us? Or is it because of our demand for real or hard rappers that force them to produce these artists out of a mere search for profit? And then also, how about the media? Kenny?
At no point in my 24 years of life has any record executive walked into my house with a lyric sheet and made me process and absorb these lyrics. In every case, I've either actively or passively sought out these ignorant lyrics with just myself. And on the other side, it came out of a person's mouth. And what I wanted to say about the whole Nicki Minaj thing is that at some level you have to take some personal responsibility. Yes, they flood the market with ignorance. This is true. We know this to be true. They say it's marketable and they flood the market with it and people consume it. But someone sat down and said all these ignorant things that are recorded. Did somebody walk in the booth and hold a gun to their head? I don't know. Did somebody walk into the room and put a contract in front of them that they didn't necessarily read and they signed real quick? Probably, but they're not forcing it on me. And I think we need to go back to having artistic integrity. Ray Charles, have you seen Ray? There's a scene where he refuses to play the Chitlin Circuit. He refuses to play Jim Crow. There was consequences to that, but he took a stand as an artist. If you say you're gonna be an artist, be an artist. You wanna be a star? That's different. Then go, fly high, be a star, get your paper.
I don't know which one to choose, which one like is to blame, but I think both of them participate. But you have to think of like who essentially controls the music industry. We're not, besides like, you know, maybe like Jay-Z, we're not really in control of like the record companies. It's mainly white men who are in control of the music industries. I had executives, okay? And so I feel personally, a lot of rappers have the same exact story. Like, how do all black men have the same story? Like, no, drug dealing, pimping, hoeing, this, that. And it's like, I think they like that because, yes, it sells, and yes, we buy it. But essentially, like, I feel like a lot of black people don't even buy it. We don't really buy it, like CDs. Like, white people buy the CDs. People who have the money to buy the CDs buy it. So I don't think it's just generally us. I think as a nation, as a whole, like, we like that hard and real and that masculinity, because that's how we define masculinity, what it means to be a man. So me personally, that's how I see it. And so I don't know which one to choose.
All right.
Hi, I'm Crystal Ellis. I'm a freshman kinesiology major.
And I do believe that it's both. It's the person who's trying to get their name out and the person who wants their name to be on their label that is portraying the real or hard image. Because if you want to go through biblical times, Lucifer was head over the music. It was head over music. And that's the way that he's going to get through to us. If he's talking about killing somebody, stealing somebody's stuff, or having sex with all these women, and we take it and like, yeah, this is cool, like, I should probably do this. Not even saying you will do it, but having it in your mind, having it, you know all the lyrics to every Nicki Minaj song, having you know all the lyrics to every Jay-Z song, and what are they producing? Nothing really beneficial to you. Something like Molly Music or Young Chosen, something like that that's pushing off a Christian agenda will get you further than someone trying to produce, just get money off of you, because all you're getting is nothing. You don't get anything from it.
Hey, you know Young Chosen? For real? We went to high school, we used to rap together.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We graduated 07 too. Wait, dog.
All right, so the question is, do the record companies force it? No. All right, so I think, in my opinion, it's not the record companies that make any type of decision. The biggest decision that they make is to like test the waters with whatever artists that they put out. And the biggest decision actually comes from the people that listen to the music. So it's our responsibility to like turn the ignorant things down and look towards more positive lyrics, I guess. I don't know, does that make sense? I think that makes perfect sense.
Build a market for positivity.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Just and unjust. I want to attack it from the panel. Shelly?
Like you said earlier, the beyond reasonable doubt. Technically, legally, it was just, quote unquote, but obviously common sense, humanity, real justice, that's something that obviously is totally unjust. This is totally wrong. And I think that's something that we have to continue to challenge. There's a lot of laws that have been, that are there and exist and have been passed. One I like to talk about a lot is how the Supreme Court has declared corporations as people. Does that make sense? We have to really, we have to really question certain laws. And yes, there's technicalities, but obviously there's also just, for me, common sense, and there's greater humanity, and we have to really fight for that.
Anybody else? Kenny?
To me, and this is my opinion, I'll use I statements, it's clearly unjust in them not giving him a brand new trial. To say you get an evidentiary hearing when one of the key points of the case was the startling lack of evidence. 9 people said he did it, 7 of those people came back was like, we was lying. But you need to prove to us beyond the shadow of a doubt that you didn't do it. How does one even do that?
Oh, well, I don't know if you're asking me. But, the reason why he was sentenced to death is because of those 9 eyewitnesses. Like I said, there was no physical evidence that showed he committed the murder, but it's because there's 9 eyewitnesses. It's like 9 people said you did it, but then years later, 7 out of the 9 said you didn't do it. And then one of those that didn't change their statement, like one of those 2 that didn't do it, that didn't change their statements, was with him, at the scene, and he said, oh yeah, he did it, it wasn't me, So of course he wasn't gonna change his statement, but just keep that in mind. All right, do you believe that Davis's race had anything to do with the outcome of his trial, Derek?
Yes, I think it is because he was black that he got sentenced to death. If you just look at the statistics of black men who are accused of killing white men and they're on death row, it's at a much gross rate than white men killing black men. And the white men, and even go back to slavery, a lot of black women, African women, were raped by white men, but black men were always accused as the rapists. If you looked at a white woman, you were accused of raping her. It's just like, so, but even if you look at today, who killed so-and-so, or like, who kidnapped another person? It's always a Black or Latino man. So Black men are, I feel, and this is my opinion, are constantly targeted as violent, and you need to fear them. So he was made out an example of. You don't kill white people, because if you do, this is what's gonna happen to you. Especially in the state of Georgia, you're in the South, oh please. It's still very racist down there. So yeah, I think it has everything to do with it, and I think that's the bottom line. And for us to try to go beat around the bush and say that that's not an issue is us just being in this colorblind society. So, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that Daryl brought up. It is a way to, like, they were using an example. I forgot which book I was reading, and it was talking about how a lot of times, like, we see, like, the only figures that they use for civil rights are, like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like, they glorified them, but there was so many people doing things in the civil rights movement. But the fact that these guys were, like, assassinated, you know? Like, it lets you know, like, hey, if you step up and try and fight for your rights, this is gonna happen to you, you know? And a lot of us have a fear of dying, you know? Because, like, that's the end. Like, where do you go after that? You know? So it's like a lot of us had that fear, so they're gonna glorify these guys that got assassinated. I went on the Diversity Ambassadors trip. It's a great trip you guys should go on. And like we learned about so many like different people that did so many great things, you know? And civil rights movement, well, you never hear about them, you know? It's only like a select few, and like everyone's chosen for a reason. Like, even Rosa Parks, she was the 5th woman to do that. Like as far as not giving up her seat, the 5th woman, you know? So we're not talking about males or anything, the 5th woman, but she was chosen for a specific reason. Because she was light-skinned, because like, you know, there's different reasons why certain people are chosen to be glorified, you know, in our history. So that was a good point there, right, Kenny?
Just another note about the trial. One of the eyewitnesses, the only reason he was arrested is because somebody walked in there that was there that night, walked in there the next day and was like, he did it. The person that fingered him for it, that walked in and just said he did it, was one of the eyewitnesses. He was also later, a lot of the people were accusing him of doing it, saying he did it. He just ran to the police first. So this is a very clear case that he say, she say, or he say, and he ended up losing.
I can pick up the mic. Just going off, I didn't really look into it until, you know, Oswald was so persistent, so let me just read up on it a little bit. And one thing I took into account was like in the early 90s, we had the LA riots. And just to contrast that with Georgia, is like, Georgia is known for their strict laws against black people and stuff like that. So if in California you see riots of people going against the police, they're gonna see any action towards the police as, we're gonna shut it down real quick before it even turns into what happened in California. So I kind of just thought about it as the judge in that case was just trying to lock him up and say, look, he's getting the death penalty, eyewitness stuff, like we don't need any clues. If black people even go against police, you're gonna get killed. So like the only mistake I really see like with the first question is like, so it's race definitely for the second one, race definitely had a part. But for the first one, it's just like, to not even take into consider like the state of Georgia back then when he actually got indicted, because like probably today if he did do it, he wouldn't get the death penalty off that. And like if their eyewitnesses took it back, like they actually said they saw it back then, their eyes didn't change. They didn't go off evidence. They weren't like substantial witnesses. They were eyewitnesses. So they said we lied. For them to say they lied is basically like you should just be innocent off of that. Like you shouldn't get a new hearing off an eyewitness statement.
Like, why are you leaving? And then those that go to UCI, same question with Irvine.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ola. I'm a 4-year electrical engineering major. And that's a very good question. Why are you here? What do you want to be when you graduate? What do you want to be 10 years from now? That's how I think. I think about the next 10 steps, the next 5 steps. Where do I want to be when I graduate? What kind of life I want to give my kids? That's how I think, and that's what I'm showing you guys.
What is your purpose for being here? Cool. Anybody else? Just the reason why they're here? Or are you just here because your parents said go to college?
I was here because I chose to.
I'm here to expand my knowledge in general. Like college, honestly, is not just been about education. For me, it's kind of been about life. I've been through a lot of stuff since I've been at Cal Poly. I've grown into a very different individual. So I'm just here to improve myself as well as graduate and become a doctor.
Yeah, I'm here at Cal Poly. At first, it was because, going to college was never an option. It was just 13th grade. But then, I have learned, since I've been here, that it is a life lesson, kind of like what Brandon was saying. I'm learning more than just what's in the books, but I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about the world, my own community, communities outside. And so it really is, my purpose to be here is to learn and to be better and make improvements on myself before I go out into the world.
Anybody else?
I'm here because I want to be an example. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional. I am from Compton, California, and a lot of my friends have passed away, or been incarcerated, or didn't make it to where I am because they didn't have somebody that showed them that it was possible. And that's why I want to get a degree in computer engineering, so that people back home can know that it's possible to actually be book smart, to know your math and to know your science, so they don't have to go through what I went through back home, feeling like you didn't have any other options.
Thank you for that. Anybody else want to address that question? All right. Do you believe it's important to connect with other Black students on campus? Why or why not? For the audience.
I think that it's very important to connect with other Black students on campus. A lot of the programs that we have we're actual recipients of them, as far as RISE was a big one, and it's really a networking experience, because how do you know to do better if you don't see someone else doing it? So sort of yeah.
I do believe that it's important for us to unite, because we're a very small percentage. We represent a very small percentage of the campus. It shouldn't be that hard for us all to be able to come together. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a whole Black student body. I'm pretty sure it's not, but this is it's we're a decimal within the grand scheme of things. So we best get together. It's only smart for us to do that.
I think it's very important to just not to seclude yourself only to the African American people on campus, but to open your horizon and talk to the other people, talk to personally, because I'm in this club, it's Epic Movement, and it's all Asian people. So when I first went to the meeting, I was the only African American person there, and it's kind of awkward, but I just realized that I shouldn't have to only seclude myself to only BSU, only those certain clubs that because if you realize certain, not only the people that look like you, but other people have experienced the same type of things you experience, not because they have the same skin complexion or whatever, but the thing is just try not to seclude yourself only to BSU and only the African American people, because you could unite with someone else that isn't African American as well.
What she said right now, that sometimes it's hard to connect with other races, because I have example, I'm in class, I'm the only Black person in that class, and I asked a couple of other people in the class if they want us to do a study group, and they kind of looked at me hold on, no, I wouldn't do a study group with you. I feel that hurt me a lot, because I felt that just because I was Black, that they wouldn't, they didn't think I was as smart as them, or even learning the information, the same information that they're learning, so that's something I feel I can't connect with my Black students on this campus, and not other races. I can, but it's kind of hard because they look at me like I'm not as smart as them,
Yeah, like I said, she made a great point about not just connecting with Black people on campus, connecting with people more than just Black people. For example, what I do when I walk into a class, I always try to stand out, not just sit there and be, another black guy in the class, I'm probably the only person in the class. So by trying to stand out, I pass the picture, so the professor knows my name, everyone knows my name already. So I want every one of you guys to go back into your classes and try and stand out, try and be your own person. Don't try to sit there and be like, I'm cool, I have swag and stuff like that, but try and stand out.
Yeah, just to piggyback up what Lauren said in my English class, we're going over a few things and going over workshops and proofreading each other's work. And it's a Asian guy sitting next to me, and I'm in the front row. And we're going over each other's work and stuff, and I'm like telling him like what's wrong with his paper, and he's sort of looking at me like, I'm not gonna listen to you, like whatever, like I don't care what you need to say. And he's just like scratching off the paper like, nah, that's right, what I have to say is right, whatever you're doing is wrong. And I'm just like, dude, like just take heed to what somebody has to say, because it doesn't matter if I'm black, white, Asian, if what's right is right, it doesn't matter who's telling you, it's just right. And in the same class, I'm the only black person as well. I thought I saw a black person, but it was just a dark person. It was 100 degrees that day, so he got a little tan. But yeah, so he was just, so we were all just sitting in class about to do another workshop, and we had to get in groups. She wanted us to get in groups. And I'm sitting in the front row like, here comes the time. I'm not gonna get anybody in my group. And nobody got in my group. And I was just sitting there like, okay, I'm about to do my work, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, teacher, you want us to be in groups, so I don't have a partner. She's like, anybody don't have a partner? It's 28 people in the class, even, 2 and 2. So it's like, everybody's here today. So it's like, somebody don't have a partner, nobody raised their hand, everybody was just like, whatever. So I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm better doing my stuff by myself anyways. So I get my stuff done, and I'm like closer to the last person to leave the class, and I see people come up, oh, I did the work by myself, is that okay? I did this by myself, is that okay? I did this by myself, is that okay? And I'm just like, I was the only person to raise my hand and say I didn't have a partner. So you come in to her like, oh, excuse me, I didn't have a partner either, but I didn't say anything, made it seem like I was just the only person out. I was outed in class, so it did hurt, like how Lauren said, it did hurt, because I'm like, I'm used to black people all the time, like blacks and Latinos, that's all I was raised with, so it did hurt when someone just doesn't want to be with you, like doesn't want to talk to you because of your race. So it is good to connect with other black people who know your story, who know your background, who know, yeah, I'm the only black person in my class too.
Shelly, you want to say something?
Hi everyone, I actually have to leave, I have to drive a little far tonight, but thank you so much for having me here. But I think I just want to leave you all with, this was a wonderful event, thank you so much, Chris. It's really important for us to get together and have these discussions, but I think after we leave here, sometimes it's like you feel contradictory, or you feel like, maybe you wouldn't hit on a certain topic, or there's things that you're going through in your head and you never had a chance to comment. I just want to say, go ahead and question, I think it's really important to just, face those issues that are hard for you. I think there's so many issues, and I'm very active, and a lot of people who know me, I'm very much an activist, and I fight for these things, but there's so many times I sit there and I beat myself up and I get a headache because I'm just trying to find, what's right. And I really challenge you all to figure out what's that issue that really hit you tonight, what's the right thing to do, and those little things, whether it's a Facebook status, or you talk to your friend about it, you tell your mom, those things are so important that you have an opportunity, you have a power to really make a difference in other people's lives, and I really try to, do that every day. So I think all the things we talked about were wonderful tonight. Pick something and take that with you and act on it. I really encourage you to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I could add one thing also on that same topic, and I'm really happy to see so many first, second, freshmen, and sophomores, and that I tell all the leaders of the different groups who are here, if you don't get the younger students involved in the leadership of your organization will fail. Because the senior level leadership will get tired. I'm getting a little tired too. Let me just share a little something that's going on. The provost, so the organization of the university, just in case you don't know, there's the president who's the public face of the university, and then underneath of him are vice presidents, and the vice president over the academic side is the provost. And so he gave out money this year, $60,000, to study why African Americans.
I want to know why. Salida?
I think that like a lot of times we get so trapped into the idea of race and race. Of course, it's very prevalent in our society, but we have to not forget that we also live in a very patriarchal society as well. This is a society in which women are constantly being devalued. Women are commodified. We're thought of as something to be dominated, something to be controlled. So the B word, it's so entrenched in our culture that it's not even looked at as a big deal anymore, because patriarchy and racism have kind of meshed together and they've made our way at our front door. So they're so entrenched in pop culture and art and media and film and everything. So it's kind of hard to ignore.
Daryl?
I won't be long, but I went to the CAM Museum at SC, and the Willie Lynch letter. Everybody know what Willie Lynch is, okay? You know, the whole lynching system. And on his letter, if you read it, it says, talking about the African woman, extract the last bitch out of her. That's what he says. And that really, that line just got to me. I didn't read the whole thing, but because I had to leave. But that really got to me, because back then you'll look at that and be like, oh, I can't believe he said that. But yet you see girls call each other, oh, something like that. That's my bitch. Like, oh, she's a bad bitch. Like, and then that's okay. And it's like our people have been constantly we've been degraded and not thought of as humans. We were 3/5 of a human not too long ago, and we've become so immune to that when we see stuff like this that's degrading, it's just like, oh, well, that's just how things are. So we'll just accept it, we won't visually see that's an issue.
Kenny?
2 parts on this. As far as the N-word, I think we fall very easily into the notion that we have reclaimed this word, that it is endearment. And it is my personal stance that there's no justifiable reason to use the N-word. And this is coming from someone who's recovering in its usage. But for everybody that says, oh, I use it as an endearment, talk to these people. Have you used it as a detriment as well? Have you used it as for its intent, for its original purpose? Have you used it, and the first time it was written down, did you use it for that reason? And 9 times out of 10, you run into some yeses. As far as the B word and women, I think overall we've devalued ourselves as human beings. We place our value in material things, and you talk about what you have, women being one of them. I've heard conversations where people were talking about women like they were trading cards, going over stats, what you have, like it was Pokemon cards. Like, I got Charizard, I did this, with illustrations. Went right to phone, went to text messages, went to pictures. And this isn't something I saw in the streets. This was the center like 2 weeks ago. Like, we've devalued ourselves, and we need to go back to taking value and taking joy in conversation and character and what a person does, how a person acts, the confidence himself, is versus just, you're just an object.
All right, let me get the audience room.
How you guys doing? Damian Hill, 01 graduate of Cal. Assistant basketball coach here now. I think a lot of it has to do with not so much racism, but placism. Now, we're so put in our place of a box of where we need to be or who we are, instead of not taking ourselves and having limitations and stepping outside a box. You know, if we stay inside a box, that's when you're going to use the N-word. You stay inside a box, that's when you're going to call your friend a bitch. Like, get out of your place of where somebody's putting you. Step out of that box and don't set limitations for what you can do and what you can accomplish. I mean, that's the biggest thing. With all of this stuff, everything we've gone over, it's all about putting black people in a place, in a spot. You were my slave. You were my housekeeper. When my grandparents and grandmothers, you were my housekeeper. That's your place. Now you're an ignorant rapper who just curses in excuse my language, in every song that you have. That's your place. Or you're a basketball player. You're an athlete. You're not educated. You're not a scholar. You're not a doctor. You're not a lawyer. So everything's about putting black people now in their place instead of us, taking back and not putting limits on ourselves. You go back to the 60s and 70s. That's one decade I wish I could go to, the 60s, and to see all the stuff that was going on, the Black Panthers, and everybody fighting for a new place. And I think we've gotten out of that realm of all the things our ancestors had done for us. We got comfortable. I'm not getting called the N-word every day now. I'm not a Negro anymore. I'm a black person now. I'm satisfied with that, and I'm keeping that place. Step out of that box, and don't be put in a place, and be put where you want to be put, and don't set limits to yourself.
Unfortunately, the N-word have become a part of black culture. That's just what we do. And I think the reason why we see it so much is because it's the appropriation of that culture. Where you see a lot of races now want to become, like my brother said, they want to be black. You know what I'm saying? So they want to say the N-word, they want to say the B-word. And it's just these record companies are using black figures, who do use these words, and they use it as a detriment to as our people, but they do use it as terms of endearment as well. And it's being broadcasted to everybody. And that's why we see it so much. Before this mass media, people were just saying the word in their own communities. Nobody knew about people saying that word to each other like that until it was on the radio.
I'm going to have one more person talk. Real quick, if you guys can look at this little sheet that I gave you, I left a little space to take notes. If there's a question that you feel you want to talk about, write it down here, and if we have time at the end, we'll come back to it. So let's stick to the rules. There's a lot of great questions. You guys don't have to use all your answers down. Here we go.
I think it's sometimes based on how you were raised. If you have a son and you don't teach your son how to treat women, they're automatically going to start treating women as if they were quote unquote bitches. So it's if a guy talks to a girl who wasn't taught you're not supposed to be called a bitch, then they're going to accept it, and then it's just going to keep going and going.
We're going to keep it going. And so now we're into the tunes. Why is it okay for rappers to call her over there a beat in their song, and you're cool with it? So you like this one, Shelly?
I just want to say this from the last comment, but you can start now by the next time you forget about this event happened and you go to the club or the party and the Too Short song comes on, you can just cover your mouth on that part. You can just start your own personal movement in terms of what you decide you want to listen to and when is it okay to say it. I don't know, that's just what I want to say, but I know it's hard because that's what you're around all the time, but there's so many other music genres to listen to. If you just look a little harder, there's some amazing, if you're Christian rap, there's some amazing, different, artists to listen to. I feel like that's part of just to that name. Sorry, I was inarticulate, but.
Yeah. But the part I was trying to get y'all to hear was when he was calling them he was saying all these nappy-headed hoes out here. Because I remember when something happened like that, when there's a white man that said it. I want y'all. But Ricardo, go ahead.
I think too many times we point the finger at ourselves is why stuff like this is going on. What language is he speaking? English. That's not our language. So like what I'm saying is like this stuff is like has been put on us. You know, you can't really be mad at Nicki Minaj for making a living. She wanted to be a rapper. She wanted to be an artist. She wanted to be this. And somebody was like, you know what? You have to act like this if you want to blow up. If you want to survive as a black woman in this world. If you want to be the next biggest star, you have to do this. You know, if the world was different, she would have that same beat and she'd be saying something positive, but they're not going to put anything positive that gets super airplay on the radio, and we know this. So you can't blame Nicki Minaj for that. Blame the person that put the words in.
Alright, I'll try to be Ricardo to the point. But like really, like what he said, it's really just what we're surrounded by. Like for the last question, like myself, I grew up privileged. I have both parents, all that stuff. But like, I didn't even say the N word, the B word. I didn't say any of these words until I got to high school, and it was more readily available. You know, like my parents wasn't always around me. I started listening to music my friends listened to. I went to a private school. I listened to Christian music before that, and then like once you hear something so many times, it's just like it's natural. Like you can say the whole song to anything bad. Like, you can say everything. You can't remember a Bible verse, but like you hear a song, it's like 3 minutes of just knowing every word, bad words and all. So I feel like when we hear those words, the reason we grow immune to it is because it's just in our nature now. Because to find a good book, like when you go to college, how many people get to college that are black? Because we would have this discussion, like high school kids, they don't hear this. I was hearing music. I wasn't hearing state of the community event going on. Come over here, come read a book, come listen to knowledgeable information. I was hearing music cracking, da-da-da-da. So it's more like, it's not really we're going immune to it. It's all a lot of people know. And once you know something so long, it just keeps going and it's harder to break away. Like, I can leave here saying, I don't want to say these words, but I'm going to start hearing the music, getting in my car, and I'm probably going to sing the song and then catch myself though. So I feel like it's not really we're okay with it. We just kind of lose ourselves.
A choice on what they decide to produce, what they put out there. Nicki Minaj, she could go a more positive route and actually, rap about positive things, but she's deciding not to. And then I also think that it is a supply and demand, because we can say like, oh, we don't agree with what's in the music, but if we keep listening to it and we're still dancing to it at the clubs, like, they're gonna keep on producing it. They're gonna keep on giving us what the audience wants. They're gonna keep giving it to us. So it's just what we're demanding from them. They're gonna produce.
Thank you, that was great. I forgot to ask you guys the second part to that is what are some actions that can be taken to show rebellion against these industries? Like how she was saying about not dancing to the music and stuff. Like what can we do?
Hi everybody, my name is Brandon Harris, and I think our fault, we react to it. There's a song called Bitches Ain't Shit But Hoes and Tricks out there, and I've seen plenty of women dance to it. It really is, it's our fault. There's no women here that should dance to that song. You know what I mean? So if you want it to change, don't dance to it, don't react to it, don't request it on the radio.
Kenny?
I would say if you want to show rebellion, don't consume the products that are associated with these acts, these performances, because we can sit up here and say, black people don't buy CDs. Yes, but is that the only way record companies make their money? Do these rappers not have clothing lines? Do they not have sponsorships with cars and stuff? So you see a fly car in the video that they definitely rented for free. Now everybody running to the dealership. Now there's a spike in this particular demographic for this particular product because it was in this particular video with this particular act on this particular subject matter. Why don't we support these underground artists? Why don't we support these people that are pitching a message that we identify with that aren't getting the publicity that everybody else is getting? Because they tell you that these stars are rich, but how many of you actually know what their pocketbook is? How many actually know what's in their bank account? 112 has a song called Every Day where they're telling you, yeah, we were lying in videos. This was all nonsense. We were broke, hungry. So support the people that go on tour all over America, all over the world, that putting out a message that you identify with. Don't consume this nonsense. Turn off MTV Jams and BET. Go on the track.
So I know a lot of people said, but my main thing was like, because record companies, yeah, they like for the most part, they really don't really have a hand in what we do, because artists make most of their money on tour, and I know. I wanted to agree so much when you said like, yo, black people don't really buy albums no more. Like, it's true, but that tour, if you go to a YG anything, where do they have where do they go? They don't go to the widest cities with people with money. They go to the hood. YG be in Pomona, he be in LA, and it's black people in there. That's who's going there to listen to the music. So if we just stop going to the concerts, I'm pretty sure their music would change. That's like the main thing, just because tours give everybody their money, and they go to black cities because they know we're gonna give them the most money. Like we want to see everybody's like Chris Brown coming to Irvine for some random reason. All these black people getting happy, like it's black people everywhere. Like they buying stuff. It's really our fault.
Thank you. All right, next up, Andrew Chicken question is, did African American women set the low standard, like for thugs, gangsters, uneducated, material-driven men, African American males, that African American males are striving to reach, or is it this image that has enticed the African American woman and allowed for the continuance of these practices? Ricardo?
Just real quick, this is like start off the foundation. What human body suffers the most oppression? The black female body. She faces racism, sexism, and then she's homosexual. She faces homophobia. So that's the body that's facing so much oppression. It's, I don't know why, but like really, like we need to start with stop pointing the fingers at like ourselves, but we keep the discussion.
Okay. Anyone else on the panel? Daryl?
To go kind of like back to the music, resetting African American women, like if we're continuing to like drop and give me 50, and like, oh, put your left hand in the air, right hand in underwear. Like, if we're continuing to do these things, like we're belittling ourselves, and what was I gonna say? And I feel like sometimes we do go into, that's what the image of being black is. Like this, and it's not us saying that's what black is, but it's like someone else telling us this is what it means to be black, and we're falling into that. So the whole thug guy, uneducated, like some reason that's sexy to a lot of us. And this whole, we're not us in this room, but like a lot of what I see is like that's cute. And it's like, no, it's not cute and uneducated. You need to have this respect enough for yourself and for this man that you are thinking about. Like, if he respects himself enough, he will want to be educated. He will want to achieve and do all that. So I think we need to reassess our priorities and our standards, because I feel like, I'm not saying that everyone in this room, like, don't get me wrong, don't mistake this, but as a community, because they're very low, our numbers in college are like real low. So if we go out, like our standards are low, and like how can we reassess those standards, because that shouldn't, I don't know, that's fine.
Alright.
Just to speak on this issue, I think that originally, because in past times, the only ones that were really ever around, because black men who did work and were educated were never really around a neighborhood, never really around the family. The thugs and gangsters became prominent, and their image became like impressed in our mind. But so as like kids, they strived to be that, because those people had the materials, those people had the long fat dookie chains, and everybody was like, hey, let's get like that. But nowadays, I think it's both men and women that drive it, because I know for a fact that where I'm from, like I'm from San Diego, you know what I mean? Like, you see how I dress, black girls give me no play. Like, that's just real talk. But when I go places, I see who the black girls are talking to. They're always talking to the guy who's all redded out. Every other word is blood. Every other word is crip, and that's what they strive for. And so because people see that gets more, because people see that gets results, it's just a big cycle.
I agree with my man what he just said. It is a cycle, and I feel like it is on the shoulders of both men and women. Based on media, going to parties, the songs that girls dance to, and they obey the commands of the song, bend over, do this and that. The girls get real turned on, I guess. And from the guy's perspective, he's processing that. That's what turns a girl on. So that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to emulate. And then the girls sit oh my gosh, I love so-and-so, I love so-and-so. The guys hear that, they process that, they emulate that. I don't know, I just feel like if it's on both the men and women. If the men started dressing more and started, I guess, holding each other accountable, the men who aren't giving off that positive image, maybe less men will dress that way. And if the women up their standards some or a lot and set standards up for people, they want men who are well carried and well presented and know how to respect themselves and respect women, then the men who aren't like that won't get any play, and then that'll be popular. That's how I feel.
I happen to disagree with some of this right here. I'm Zoe. I happen to disagree with some of this right here because I happen to have high standards, and I know a lot of my friends actually do have high standards, and everybody I know who I kick it with have high standards in their guys. Instead of black males rising to these standards, you guys go for different races. Or you say, oh, the black female, they're too strong, or they're too young, or they have too high standards. And so instead of saying like, oh, we up our standards, you guys need to actually rise to the occasion. And be that black male. But you guys aren't rising to the occasion, so therefore you guys are looking to other races, and as of recently, you guys vote for white women that accept a lot more than come to the strong black woman.
All right, settle down. Settle down.
Let me put this disclaimer out first. I wholeheartedly blame everybody. That being said, I can understand the appeal to this image. As a woman, you want to be secure, you want to be taken care of. I'm not saying you're lazy, but you want to have security. And if there's this dude in the neighborhood, nobody ever takes anything from him, and he has visible, disposable income because he can buy flashy stuff because he's already taken care of what he needed to take care of, and now he has disposable income. And then he's kind of dangerous, so that's exciting. I can understand the appeal. I get it, right? I get it. And I think that comes from there not being, or people not seeing a tangible reward for hard work and education. Now, there's a video that Dr. Reese showed at Rise, and I'll never forget this, that he was interviewing this guy that was like a hardcore banker. He was from Hoover. He was serious. And what he was saying is when he was a child, when he was younger, all he ever wanted to be was a scientist. So he went to school for science. He went to a magnet school. They was busting him out 30, 40 miles so he can go study science with the good neighborhood. And then he get back, and he got his science books, and everybody like, oh, you reading? For sure. Like, I'm gonna make myself a thug now to get me women. And he had many women, so that was reinforced in his mind. That was reinforced in his mind and reinforced in the neighborhood that that's what's desirable. And if I want women and women want that, then I'm gonna go be that. And it takes a lot of strength to not go be that if what you want is only drawn to that. How many people have really sat down and talked about some deep stuff with people like as a child? Like in middle school, y'all were talking on the level like, I was reading this, I learned this, and that was cool. Or did you get discouraged from reading? Did you get discouraged from using big words? Like, I've been told, nigga, talk regular. These are real words. And today, what do you mean talk regular? What is regular? You know what regular is?
As a disclaimer, I have said that to Kenny before, because sometimes he be overplaying. But that's a great point that you brought up. I gotta keep it going. Next question, is it due to the lack of funding and teacher support in the inner city schools that cause students to lack interest in school? Or is it because of our lack of interest in school that causes the teachers to not put forth as much effort or care in our success? Ricardo?
Black people are trying really, 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 really hard. Like, don't get that wrong. Like, we do want to go to school. We do want to be successful. We do want to have all these things that I guess the world can offer us. And it's not that we lack interest in school. It's the first thing. Like, it's what the teachers. There's no funding. Like, income taxes go into schools. Y'all know that, right? So, like, if a rich area has all this money going into the school. So if you live in like Compton or LA, like the South Central, and you have all these low-income houses. Like the income taxes are not going into the. There's not that much money going into the school.
Property tax.
Yeah, property taxes. So it's not that much money going to the school, so you're not going to have the best teachers. You're not going to have AP programs. You're not going to have all these different clubs and all these different like sports programs you become a part of. There's no money into the school. So then when colleges want to have, you have to have 5 AP classes, you got to be in this club, you got to be part of the Key Club, you got to be writing 20 essays a day and stuff like that. Like, you're not going to have that type of sources, so you're not even getting into college. So like I said, like, it's not our fault as black people why we have these problems, and I'm going to keep saying.
All right, I want to get Dr. Page, since he is a teacher and professor, I want to see your point of view.
I have a project going on right now of working with 4 Pomona chemistry teachers, and that I believe we should be doing a better job in the way we teach chemistry, and that I think there's me. So I'm glad to see you, though. Glad to see you, bro. And so, I'm very happy to be here, Chris. At the same time, when I started working with these teachers, they said, we don't have any paper, we don't have this, but we have drive and ambition. And then I said, you know what? I'll write your quizzes. I'll challenge your students. And when we started doing that, then all of a sudden, in that being evaluated is a very difficult thing. It may make you nervous, but those who do well when they're evaluated rise to the moment and shine. And when these teachers felt pressured, and they deal with a lot of things in their everyday career when they're doing these things, but then they started to say, you know what, I'm not going to push my students because I got to teach the test. I got to teach it. So there's a lot of things that are wrong. The money situation isn't there, and these teachers are talented individuals who get wore down over time. And so I put a lot on the parents. In that, and no way when you come home will I ever let you say that, or talk to a teacher this way, or do certain things, that the system's broken, and so we got to make sure that we grab our children and take care of them.
Shelly?
I'm so glad you said that. I really agree with that. And I think, like, we're listening to a lot of these questions. A good lesson from this experience is, you know, there's always 2 sides of the story. I think it's on both ends, the schools end, it's the families end, but I think now that we understand, obviously there's an issue, there's funding issue, there's something else that needs to be happening too. It's not just when you go to school and you leave. There needs to be more happening with that. So I think something that we can do, and we realize is, are the little things that we can do. Is there a program near you? Maybe one day you can go volunteer with this organization, Mosaic, that I know some representatives are in the room, or a club that's in the room. So what can we do to contribute to those causes, because it's in the nonprofits? I mean, there's this nonprofit I was involved in that was an after-school tutoring program. It gave me $10,000 to go to college. I mean, that's what got me through high school. That's what helped me to get here. So it's obviously a lot more than just that school, and what can we do, and what are those resources that you can offer, especially if you know there's a family where the parent isn't really involved. You know, there's a lot more resources. There's a village, right, that supports that student.
All right, Garrett.
I just want to I agree with everyone on this panel. I can't really say much because I don't want to repeat the same thing. But I went to one of the Claremont colleges to hear a lecture, and right now, I believe that in California, the prison gets the most money, funding. Education is like number 4. So that alone is the reason why we're lacking. A lot of our inner city students are lacking Black, white, Latino, and and what they're starting to do now, because the prison system is being privatized, when they need prisoners to get that money. That's where they're getting funding from. So what they're doing is they're looking at 3rd graders and 4th graders, their test scores, and they can see how they're scoring, if they will soon build a prison in that area, so that they will get more money, so that the prison system is just getting money. And here in the Cal States, our desks, everything, a lot of the things that we use are made in prisons. So we need to find a way that education is number 1 that's getting funded, and not prison, because what we're essentially saying is that more people in California will be in prison than in our schools.
Daryl, I completely agree with you. In the Bay Area, they actually have a tracking system. So depending on where you're at, where you're from how good your grades are. They will either track you into a bad school where you're bound to fail, or they'll track you into a good school. So the system is already jerry-rigged for us to fail. So I definitely agree with what you talked about.
Alright, so now we're on the current event. Shelly already kind of touched on this earlier, but I'll still address it. So Detroit Davis trial, like she said, for those that don't know, Detroit Davis is on the flyer for this event. If you look at it, that's the guy.
I fight for these things, but there's so many times I sit there and I like beat myself up and I get a headache because I'm just trying to find, you know, what's right. And I really challenge you all to figure out what's that issue that really hit you tonight, what's the right thing to do, and those little things, whether it's a Facebook status or you talk to your friend about it, you tell your mom, those things are so important that you have an opportunity, you have a power to really make a difference in other people's lives. And I really try to, you know, do that every day. So I think all the things we talked about were wonderful tonight. Pick something and take that with you and act on it. I really encourage you to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
If I could add one thing also on that same topic, and that I'm really happy to see so many first, second, freshmen, and sophomores, and that I tell all the leaders of the different groups who are here, without, if you don't get the younger students involved in the leadership of your organization will fail, because the senior level leadership will get tired. I'm getting a little tired too. Let me just share a little something that's going on. The provost, so the organization of the university, just in case you don't know, there's the president who's the public face of the university, and then underneath of him are vice presidents, and the vice president over the academic side is the provost. And so he gave out money this year, $60,000, to study why African Americans and Native Americans aren't doing well at Cal Poly Pomona. And then the reason I'm getting tired is I then approached him and the committee he formed and said, why are you going to go to an HBCU? This is not Alabama. This is California. There are students here, and a lot of the things that they wanted to study are touchy-feely things. And I said, in addition to that, if we don't provide academic strength to our students like we do in the RISE program, they're going to fail. Let alone if they know students who are like them in the classroom. If they're not cutting a grade, they won't make it. But then at the same time, let's make for a better social environment for them as well. So I have a challenge to you. Send your ideas to Chris, to Kenny, to any of the panelists, and forward them to me, because I pulled the faculty together. I said, this is a problem. We need to do something about it. There's very few of us. But we met and I said, oh, you're right, Mike. You're right. Yep. I went to the committee and I said, there's something we need to do. I gave them a bunch of ideas and they marginalized me and said, you're assistant professor, you haven't been here very long. Let's think about it. The only way you are going to change the situation is that you're all here right now, and you said you're we are 3.5%. So the number of students who are going to come in, if you want to look out for those students who are going to be sitting in these chairs 2 years, 3 years from now, I challenge you all to put together what is it that you need to be successful here at Cal Poly Pomona as a community of African American students. And I guarantee you that if 20 or so of you send these ideas to Chris, to Kenny, to anybody else who considers themselves a leadership in this room, and you give it to me, I will make sure the provost gets it. Because right now, he's saying I have $60,000 this year, possibly $120,000 next year. So this is when you have a vice president and a president who you have their ear, you act on it. You get what you need, and so this could be a very powerful year. So I'm gonna challenge you to make sure you get these ideas together, and I'll take it the rest of the way. But right now, from the faculty side, I'm getting tired because the students are quiet. They don't care. They just here to get their classes. They might graduate. We really don't care. So I'm gonna challenge you all to step up and put forth some ideas of what you might want.
Thank you. Guys, we only have 2 more questions. These 2, I know you guys have been here for a while, and I appreciate you staying. But don't forget, there's a big raffle at the end if you stay. All right, so moving on. Do you plan on graduating college? If yes, what steps are you taking or plan on taking to head on that road? If no, what is preventing you from believing you will graduate?
Hell, yes. I plan on graduating. I'm gonna start it off with that. I started off when I first got here, man, that's all I can say. I started challenging myself. Those are the steps that I started taking. Instead of sitting content with like just 12 units, the minimum, so I could stay here, I started challenging myself. I started 12, 14, 16, 18. And in doing so, I started to say, okay, if I challenge myself now, life is just gonna get harder, because it's just gotten harder since high school. It's just gonna get harder after I graduate, and if I don't prepare myself right now, I won't be ready for the real world, because the real world will be the real world. And so, yeah, I have to graduate.
Thank you, Kenny.
Most certainly I plan on graduating this year. If I could do it right now, I would. As far as what I've been doing to make this possible is open my mouth and ask questions. If I need help, I walk into the middle of the room and scream out help. I need help with X, Y, and Z. And in doing that, I was able to find a number of mentors on campus that work on campus, not even just upperclassmen. I had some upperclassmen mentors too, but they've gone since graduated and left me here by myself. So I've got on-campus mentors like Dr. Page, Curtis Carpenter in INRT, and he helps me with specifically my major. Like I'll sit down with him bi-weekly and do tutoring. Like I missed it today, so I could be here with everyone, but we sit down twice a week and go over what I'm going over in class. Fred Henderson in the police station, Lakeisha, open your mouth and tell someone you need help. We have a community, there's a wealth of knowledge here, there's a beauty in this community. Open your mouth. If you need help and you're struggling, open your mouth. I'm struggling. And there are people here that are able to help you. It breaks my heart when we have freshmen that don't come back to their sophomore year for very, very solvable issues. If you're having issues with your remedial courses, open your mouth. People will help you. People will take time out of their life to help you. Do your homework first and then do their homework. They will help you. Open your mouth. There ain't no sense in throwing away your education behind pride.
I will graduate. Failure is not an option. I refuse to be a statistic. I do not want to work at McDonald's, no offense to people who work there. But I will take my bio degree and go to medical school.
Yeah.
I will be a doctor. I'm sorry. Health, sometimes I like pride issues, but I'm learning with chemistry. Office hours is my friend. Tutoring is my friend. I'm learning that asking for help is helping me, and I'm growing in this process to learn to ask for help. So that's what I'm doing to be successful.
I just want to get off a statistic from the Psychology of Blacks. If you want to pick it up, we can talk about it later. But right here it says this: if college degrees are the standard and measure of potential for upward mobility and employment, approximately 14% of African Americans have at least a BA degree or higher, while a staggering 51% had no college education whatsoever. And this is like a statistic I think earlier in this like since 2000. And I'm not gonna like go into anything, but I just want you to know, like, pay attention to those statistics. You don't want to be, like you said, you don't want to be that statistic, and you cannot be that statistic. We have the African American Student Center. We have these events like this. Just take advantage of your resources and be responsible to find those resources too. And always wait on somebody for you to tell you these things. So that's your responsibility as well.
I want to move on to the next question. Are you doing anything to positively impact our community? If so, what are you doing? If not, what? If not, are you not? If not, are you not contributing to the reconstruction of our community because you find nothing wrong with the state of our community, or you have not found a way to impact the community?
Well, what I want to say about this is that I know this is not all the black people we have at our school, and I feel like in order to improve, impact our community, I feel like everybody out there needs to tell a friend that they hang out with, because I know a lot of people that I hang out with that's not here right now. We all have midterms, we all have things we gotta do, we all have work, we all have to study. But at the end of the day, you can take your time out to come out here and talk to, speak your mind, speak your opinion, and say, like, you know, like it could be way more people than this. You know, like if you hear about a party, everybody's gonna be there. You know, so I feel like just like you told me before, promote our events like we promote our parties, and that's what I'm gonna start doing.
I just want to talk about. I just want to talk about us as a community and just the way we think. You know, I heard a lot about President Barack Obama. When you really believe in something, when you want to change something, you gotta want to die for it. That's right. And if you guys want to die to be like this today, think about it tonight.
We can do this tonight.
As far as it might really work, that's been on the whole time. Okay. As far as impacting the community, for me, one thing I took to was leadership and getting involved in these organizations on campus, getting involved and not being afraid of being a leader on campus, stepping up, being the president of an organization, being an executive assistant of an organization, being the damn treasurer, even though I can't count good. Getting in these positions and learning something, and then parlaying that into mentorship. Like I have a number of